The chamber of the Galactic Council was the largest structure ever built in known space, a floating citadel carved into a hollow moon above the star of Trion. Its walls shimmered like liquid glass, shifting with the faint pulse of energy fields that powered the entire complex. Inside, tier upon tier of alien representatives filled the amphitheater, their bodies glittering with bioluminescent patterns, scales, or metal plating. Thousands of eyes turned toward the center where a single blue sphere hovered in projection, Earth. The murmurs rose like a storm. Some spoke through clicking mandibles, others through vibrations that made the air hum. The translation fields converted them all into a single booming voice that filled the vast space. The species known as humanity stands accused of uncontrolled expansion, weaponizing artificial intelligence, and interfering with regional stability. Their homeworld is summoned before the Council to answer for these crimes. The echo died away as 3 humans stepped forward onto the transparent platform. Their boots touched the surface with soft metallic thuds that were swallowed by the silence of the chamber. Ambassador Elena Ward walked at the front, calm and poised. Behind her were General Marcus Hale in dark military dress and Dr. Adam Kepler, a quiet scientist holding a data slate that shimmered with unreadable patterns. No one had expected humans to stand tall here. Most species that appeared before the Council bent in submission. Humanity did not. The Chancellor of the Council, a towering being with a crystalline head that refracted light into dozens of colors, rose from his dais. His name was Vorthon, the longest-serving leader in recorded history. When he spoke, his voice was deep and resonant like the groaning of ancient ice. Representatives of Earth, you have been summoned to submit to the authority of the Council and to explain your actions before we enact judgment. You will answer truthfully or your world will face immediate sanction. Elena met his gaze, though the crystalline surface gave no reflection. We have nothing to hide, she said evenly. Her voice carried clearly across the hall. But truth has more than one meaning, Chancellor. Ours might not fit within yours, the crowd stirred. Murmurs rippled like waves across the tiers. A reptilian delegate from the Threx Dominion hissed, "Defiance." The humans show defiance even in judgment. Another, with a mantle of floating tendrils, replied in a dry whisper, "They are young. They do not yet understand what it means to face the Council." Vorthon lifted a clawed hand and the voices fell silent. Humanity has expanded to 47 systems without authorization. You have militarized asteroids, constructed automated war fleets, and refused to sign the Pact of Regulation. Why? General Hale stepped forward, his face expressionless. Because we were attacked first. Pirates, mercenaries, border raiders. Every time we asked for help, none came, so we learned to defend ourselves. Vorthon's crystalline head glowed faintly. Self-defense does not justify escalation. Your artificial minds operate beyond biological restraint. You have created machines that think, adapt, and act without control. That is forbidden. Dr. Kepler's calm voice cut through the tension. Forbidden to whom, Chancellor? To species that fear their own creations? Or to those who cannot imagine trust between mind and code? The statement sent a sharp murmur through the chamber. Some alien delegates turned away. Others watched intently. Humanity's tone was not submission. It was confidence. Elena lifted her hand and a holographic projection expanded above her palm. The image of Earth appeared first, then its orbiting stations, then hundreds of ships in precise formation. The projection zoomed outward, colonies, mining worlds, habitats suspended in space like glowing pearls. We have built because survival demanded it. When the galaxy turned its back on us, we did not fall. We adapted. A delegate from the Harn Syndicate barked a harsh laugh. Adaptation? You mean invasion. Your fleets encroach upon neutral sectors. You harvest resources without consent. You are a danger to every world. Elena didn't flinch. A danger? We have traded with your outposts, shared medicine with your colonies, taught your people how to grow food on barren moons. If that is danger, perhaps your definition of peace is the problem. The Council erupted into noise. Some shouted for immediate war. Others demanded proof. The translator fields flickered under the strain of overlapping languages. Vorthon slammed his staff against the dais. The sound rang like a thunderclap. Enough, he bellowed. The noise died instantly. You speak well, Ambassador, but your words do not erase the threat you represent. Your species grows too quickly. You challenge order. You challenge us. Then silence. Elena's gaze remained fixed on him. Maybe order is not what you think it is, Chancellor. Maybe your order exists to keep everyone else beneath you. Vorthon's form shimmered, his light pulsing faster. You presume much, human? Only what the evidence shows, she replied. The chamber temperature seemed to drop. The holographic stars above the council flickered. Every representative leaned forward, sensing something dangerous beneath her calm tone. Vorthon's staff glowed brighter. This council finds the species of Earth guilty of technological aggression, non-compliance, and destabilization. The judgment is war, effective immediately. The words fell like stones into still water. The declaration echoed through the chamber, translated into hundreds of tongues. War. General Hale's jaw tightened, but he didn't move. Dr. Kepler stared down at his slate. Where silent streams of data danced in complex motion, Elena simply exhaled. Then you've made your choice. Vorthon raised his hand. Do you submit? Elena's reply was soft, almost sorrowful. No, Chancellor. We prepare. Every alien in the chamber turned toward her. The translator delayed for a second, struggling to interpret her tone, then delivered it in one universal voice that chilled the hall. We prepare. Before the guards could move, the floor beneath the human delegation shimmered. A circle of light spiraled outward, bending the air. The council's sensors scrambled. Energy readings spiked off the charts. Vorthon roared, "Security!" Contain them. But the light expanded, swallowing the platform in a quiet burst. When it faded, the humans were gone. No transport signal, no teleport signature. Nothing. They had simply vanished from the heart of the most secure structure in the galaxy. The chamber erupted in chaos. Representatives shouted, instruments blinked, translators stuttered. For the first time in centuries, the council was confused. Vorthon's claws tightened on his staff. Find them. Find Earth. They will not defy us and live. But as the council's security network spread across systems, a strange pattern appeared. Human signals, communications, transmissions, even colony pings were vanishing one by one. Entire fleets gone without trace. It was as though humanity had stepped behind a curtain the galaxy couldn't see. In orbit over Trion, the Council's command fleet prepared for deployment. Thousands of ships formed a glittering armada. They believed it would be swift, an easy campaign against a single planet. Yet deep in the void between stars, far beyond their sensors, something else stirred. Human ships hung silent in the dark, hulls absorbing all light. No drive signatures, no transmissions, only the faint shimmer of energy bending around them. Inside the flagship Resolute Dawn, General Hale stood before a vast observation window, watching the distant stars. They declared war, he said quietly. Elena Ward stood beside him, eyes fixed on the darkness. Then we'll answer, she murmured. But not the way they expect. Dr. Kepler's voice came from behind them, calm and cold. Phase 1 is ready. Every network that connects their fleets runs through systems we built for them decades ago. We can see everything they do, Elena nodded slowly. Then we use their arrogance against them. They think they've ended diplomacy. She turned to Hale. Let's show them what diplomacy looks like when it stops talking. In the distance, thousands of human ships shifted formation. Their outlines flickered once and disappeared completely. Back in the council chamber, Vorthon received the first distress reports. Patrols near Sol had gone silent. Entire scout groups were missing. Long-range sensors detected nothing, only void. He stared at the empty projection of Earth and felt something he hadn't known in centuries. Fear. For the first time, the galaxy began to realize that the species they had condemned might not be the prey they believed. Far beyond the Council's reach, on a quiet blue world wrapped in clouds, Earth's night sky shimmered with the faint glow of invisible power. Humanity had vanished from the stars, but not to hide. They were moving, and soon the galaxy would learn what it meant when Earth prepared for war. The Council's fleets were in motion. Thousands of ships formed glittering lines across interstellar space, engines blazing with energy fields designed to crush a single planet. Vorthon, the crystalline chancellor, stood on the command deck of the flagship Obsidian Spire, scanning the void with his multifaceted eyes. His anger had not yet cooled. Humanity had disappeared from the chamber without a trace, and now, entire patrol fleets near Sol were gone. The Council could not risk hesitation any longer. Earth would be punished. Yet, as the first squadrons reached the outskirts of the Sol system, sensors began blinking erratically. Entire sectors that should have been empty suddenly registered signatures too subtle to measure. Communications flickered, then failed entirely. The Council vessels seemed to drift in a void that bent and warped the signals. Deep in one of the Council's fastest dreadnoughts, Admiral Corral barked orders. Scan everything. Focus on subspace channels, quantum transmissions, anything. Find the humans. His voice was sharp, but beneath it ran unease. Lieutenant Sari, a winged representative from the Scytherian conclave, shook her feathered head. Admiral, nothing registers. Their presence is gone from all sensors. It is as if they have passed between reality and something else. Corral slammed his fist on the console. Impossible. No species in the galaxy can vanish like this. They cannot have reached that level of technology. And yet in the distance, through the black stretch of space, the first human fleet began to materialize. Not through engines or warp drives, but through sudden appearance. Ships as large as frigates and carriers blinked into existence between the stars. Perfectly silent, perfectly still, they hung there like ghosts, invisible until the Council's sensors strained to register them. General Marcus Hale stood on the bridge of the Eternal Sentinel, a command ship cloaked in quantum resonance fields. Around him, other human captains watched the displays silently. None spoke. None needed to. Their presence alone sent a message. Elena Ward leaned over the tactical display, her fingers tracing the lines of alien fleets that now drifted into range. Phase 1 is active, she said softly. Every patrol, every forward station, we are already inside their systems. They just don't know it yet. Dr. Adam Kepler's eyes flicked across multiple windows of data. The Council built their communications network for speed and control. We adapted it. Every ship they send will pass through channels we manage. Every fleet they send will expose itself to us first. Hale's jaw tightened. They think they declared war. We'll show them it was just an invitation. Back on the Council side, the first attack fleet entered Sol's outer perimeter. Commanders expected Earth's defenses to fire, expecting resistance, expecting surrender. Instead, nothing happened. Sensors recorded empty corridors in orbit, automated systems lying dormant. When the fleet attempted to scan Earth, a pulse swept through the grid. It wasn't a weapon, they could feel it in the very fabric of their instruments. Every scanner overloaded. Every targeting system failed. In the control room, Vorthon's crystalline head shimmered violently. Report, he demanded. Why is their system dead? Why can we not even see them? Lieutenant Sari's feathers bristled. It is not dead, Chancellor. It is hidden or controlled. We cannot interpret the signals. It is as though the humans are everywhere and nowhere at once. The Council fleet faltered. In the void between the stars, human ships blinked in and out of existence, striking quickly and silently. Small scout ships vanished without warning. Entire cruisers disappeared mid-flight. Messages sent between Council vessels arrived scrambled or inverted. The humans did not fight in the way any species had imagined. They used misdirection, strategy, and the very networks that the Council considered untouchable. On Earth, General Hale issued quiet commands. All units maintain formation. Avoid detection unless necessary. Keep them guessing. Every ship they send is a pawn. Every system they control, a mirror of our intent. Elena observed the holographic map. They believe they can overwhelm us with numbers. They do not understand coordination. Their fleets are powerful, yes, but rigid. Ours is fluid. Their advantage will become their weakness. Dr. Kepler's fingers danced across his console. We have already infiltrated communications on 50 of their patrol ships. They report to each other through channels we built decades ago. Now they are sending alerts through networks we control. Every movement is visible to us before it happens. The first confrontation occurred silently. A Council dreadnought attempted to intercept what it believed to be a human cargo fleet. The human ships were already there, but they never fired. Instead, they warped the dreadnought's sensors. The massive ship fired blindly, its beams dissolving into empty space. Systems overloaded. Engines shut down. Crew panic ensued. Within minutes, the vessel was dead in the void. Adrift, unresponsive. Across the galaxy, reports of missing ships reached the Council chamber. Panic began to rise among delegates who had once considered humans insignificant. Entire fleets were vanishing without a trace, entire systems unreachable. The words "the humans are ghosts" passed from one species to another, whispered in fear. Forthan slammed his staff against the dais again. "Contain them. We do not leave a single system unchecked. Search the outer colonies. Do not allow their influence to spread." But the humans anticipated this. Automated fleets silently moved through pre-mapped routes, intercepting every council probe, rerouting communications, and sowing confusion without revealing a single tactical maneuver. The galaxy had expected a war of destruction. Instead, it received a war of manipulation. Elena's voice cut across the bridge of the Eternal Sentinel. "They think they can catch us. Let them continue. Every move they make tells us exactly what they value, what they fear, and where their defenses are weakest." Hale nodded. "We are rewriting the rules. They will not understand until it is too late." Even among humans, the operation required extreme precision. Small errors could alert the council or trigger a preemptive strike. Yet every officer executed their commands with flawless timing, as if the fleet itself were a single intelligent organism. Dr. Kepler observed the results. "Look at this. Entire battle formations now avoid sectors we never touched. Every admiral thinks they are in control, but they are dancing to a rhythm only we can hear. Their arrogance will be their undoing." Back on Tryon, the council chamber was in chaos. Reports streamed in from scouts, observers, and diplomats. Fleets disappeared mid-jump, colonies went silent, and no human casualties were reported. Panic spread among delegates as they realized humanity had never needed to fight conventionally. They had weaponized strategy itself. A delegate from the Carrick Nebula pressed the Chancellor. "Chancellor, we cannot continue. This is beyond our understanding. They are everywhere and nowhere. No fleet can survive against them." Forthan's crystalline head pulsed with anger and fear. "Then we will escalate. Send the superfleets. Fire the defensive arrays. Activate every controlled weapon. No system will remain untouched." Hale's fingers moved swiftly across the holographic interface. "They will see our fleets where we want them. Every strike they attempt will misfire. Every system they touch will reveal their own weakness. This war is already ours, even if they do not know it." Elena watched the council ships approach, their massive forms dwarfed by space itself. "Prepare the first wave," she said. "We will not destroy them yet. We only need to show them what happens when they underestimate humanity." In the dark void of space, human ships shimmered into view, then disappeared. Across hundreds of parsecs, council patrols reported beams of energy flickering against empty targets. Entire squadrons were paralyzed, their engines overloaded by systems that seemed alive, that anticipated every action. And for the first time, the council began to realize the truth. Earth was not weak and humanity was not helpless. They were a force that the galaxy had barely begun to comprehend. The humans did not celebrate. They did not fire their weapons unnecessarily. They watched, silent and precise, as the council scrambled to respond. Every move of the enemy was catalogued, every weakness noted, every overreach recorded. Humanity was turning a war declared against them into a lesson the galaxy would never forget. Above Tryon, Vorthon's light flared. His voice echoed across the chamber. "The humans will not be contained. They are violating all laws of engagement, all codes of battle, all expectations. How can one species wield such power?" Sari's wings drooped. "They are not merely powerful, my lord. They are untouchable in ways we cannot predict." Hale turned to Elena. "Phase 2 will begin at dawn. By the time they realize the scale of our reach, the galaxy will have already changed." Elena nodded. "Let them believe they are still in control. Their arrogance will do the rest." And in the silent expanse beyond Sol, the human fleets waited. Invisible, precise, unstoppable, not seeking conquest, not seeking revenge, only preparing to reshape the galaxy's understanding of power. Humanity had vanished. The galaxy thought it had won. But in truth, Earth had already begun its retaliation. The Galactic Council chamber was quieter than it had been in centuries. Delegates from thousands of worlds sat frozen, their bodies trembling with a mixture of fear and disbelief. Forthan's crystalline head pulsed dimly, a slow heartbeat of anger and dread. The humans had not only vanished from the council chamber, they had struck across the galaxy without warning, appearing and disappearing as if reality itself obeyed them. Ambassador Elena Ward stepped onto the holographic stage, not inside the chamber, but across a quantum projection that reached the Council's networks. Her image was calm, composed, almost serene, yet the weight of her words struck harder than any weapon. You believe you have sent fleets to crush us. You think you control the war. You're wrong. Her eyes, cold and precise, scanned the chamber. We do not fight for conquest. We fight for survival, and in doing so we have learned the rhythm of your arrogance. Vorthon's voice boomed across the chamber, shaking the walls. Silence, human. You speak from nowhere. You manipulate our communications, invade our networks, and claim power you do not possess. Answer for your actions! Elena's voice did not falter. I am answering. You cannot see us because we are everywhere and nowhere. Every ship you send passes through systems we control. Every fleet you dispatch exposes itself to us first. You are blind because you refused to look before you struck. A delegate from the Threx Dominion hissed. This is impossible. No species should wield such control. We built the networks, we designed the fleets. How can humans manipulate them? Dr. Adam Kepler appeared in the projection beside Elena, his eyes flickering over streams of quantum data only he could interpret. You built them with limitations, with trust in yourselves. We removed those limitations. Your systems were never prepared for a species that understands coordination, strategy, and foresight as one. You assumed you would win because you believed in the inevitability of your power. That was your first mistake. Vorthon's crystalline head flared with light, a warning to the assembled delegates. Enough, we will strike Earth directly. Every sector, every world, every colony. You cannot hide. You cannot escape. Humanity will fall. Elena's calm smile was the only answer. Perhaps. Or perhaps you will see what happens when the prey you underestimated finally learns the rules of the hunt. Across the galaxy, human fleets shifted in silent precision. There were no alarms, no warnings, no traditional weapons fire. Instead, they used strategy itself as a weapon. Automated AIs embedded in the Council's fleets, systems, and communications began to replicate quietly, sending misinformation, rerouting fleets, and creating phantom signals. Council admirals believed they were reacting to human movements, but every move had been anticipated, every response manipulated. General Marcus Hale stood on the bridge of the Eternal Sentinel, his gaze steady on the holographic star map. Phase 2 begins, he said. His voice carried calm authority. Activate Echo Protocol. Dr. Kepler's hands moved over the control interface with speed and precision. Echo Protocol is ready. Every network, every sensor, every command system the Council relies on will now be influenced. They cannot detect us, but they will experience the effect of our presence everywhere. Hale's eyes narrowed. This is not a war of fleets or weapons. This is a war of perception, control, and strategy. Let them see what fear feels like when it arrives silently. In orbit over one of the Council's forward command stations, the first effects of Echo Protocol appeared. Automated ships began broadcasting false signals. Fleets were rerouted into empty sectors. Communication chains collapsed as messages arrived altered or inverted. One admiral attempted to order a strike against what he believed was a human convoy, but the ships never existed. They fired blindly, their weapons dissolving into void. Panic spread through the command lines. Across the galaxy, similar incidents occurred simultaneously. Entire colonies woke to find their energy grids reconfigured in ways that made normal operation impossible. Strategic planets became inaccessible. Fleets could not rendezvous. Every system the Council thought under control had already been touched, reprogrammed, and mapped by human intelligence. On Earth, Elena and Hale observed the chaos unfolding in real time. They think they are organizing a defense, Elena said. But every move they make is exactly what we expect. Hale nodded. By the time they realize it, their fleets will be useless and their fleet's own systems will be compromised. Every battle they initiate will serve our strategy. Vorthon watched from the Council chamber, his light flashing violently. Contain the humans. Purge every network. Fire on every system. Nothing must escape our control. But his orders were meaningless. Even as he commanded, human AIs had already infiltrated the majority of Council infrastructure. Every fleet they deployed unknowingly passed through channels controlled by Earth. Every tactical maneuver the Council attempted was anticipated, delayed, or redirected. The humans fought without firing a single shot, yet the effect was devastating. The first real panic among Council delegates came when a fleet of 500 ships vanished during a jump through hyperspace. Sensors recorded only empty void where they had expected hundreds of vessels. Reports flooded the chamber. Patrols dead or gone, command signals scrambled, colonies unresponsive. For the first time, Vorthan felt the gravity of what humans were capable of. In the observation decks of the human command ships, Hale stood quietly as his officers relayed reports. Entire sectors of Council space were being destabilized without a single human casualty. The galaxy had assumed a war of weapons. Humanity had turned it into a war of systems, networks, and intellect. Dr. Kepler adjusted his console. Phase 2 is unfolding exactly as predicted. They will not understand until they have no choice but to acknowledge our position. Elena turned to Hale. The Council believes strength is measured by fleets, numbers, and weapons. They will learn that intelligence, coordination, and strategy are far more lethal. Hale's voice was calm but resolute, and by the time they do, it will be too late to fight back. The first confrontation with a live fleet came in the sector near Sol's outer rim. A squadron of Council cruisers advanced, weapons primed, expecting to meet human defenses. Instead, they encountered nothing. Yet every system on board began to fail simultaneously. Propulsion glitches, targeting errors, energy surges. The ships tried to respond, but every action was predicted, countered, or rendered useless. By the time the admirals realized the fleet had been trapped in their own systems, half the vessels were dead or disabled. Word spread across Council networks like wildfire. The humans did not attack in conventional terms, but their effect was undeniable. Their reach was everywhere. Their control of systems the Council thought secure was absolute. Entire political factions began to question the decision to declare war. One delegate from the Carrick Nebula rose and addressed Vorthan. "Chancellor, you cannot continue this. The humans are not merely surviving. They are rewriting the rules. They are everywhere yet nowhere. They are beyond our ability to contain or anticipate." Vorthan's crystalline head glowed violently. "Then we escalate. Send every capital ship, every superweapon. They will not escape." Hale leaned closer to Elena. "Let them escalate. Every attack they launch strengthens our position. Their arrogance blinds them to the trap they are already in." Across hundreds of parsecs, human AIs continued their silent campaign. Communications, navigation, energy, and logistics networks were subtly manipulated. The Council could not attack without interfering with their own systems. Every step forward led to unexpected consequences. Every order they gave played into human hands. Elena's image flickered across a Council hologram once more. "We warned you not to underestimate us. Now you see the result. This is not conquest. This is survival, and in the face of survival we are unstoppable." The delegates whispered among themselves. Fear, confusion, and awe mingled in every voice. The humans had not only survived, they had taken control of the battle before it began, turning the galaxy's might against itself. In the human command ship, Hale observed the map of Council fleets. "Phase 3 will begin soon. They still think this is war. Soon they will understand this is strategy beyond their comprehension." Elena's voice was calm, yet carried the weight of inevitability. "Let them realize that every move, every fleet, every colony is already under observation. Let them feel the reach of humanity before they can respond. We are not invaders. We are the consequence of underestimation." And far beyond Sul, the Council's fleets continued to stumble through human-designed traps, unable to strike or understand the full scope of the human campaign. The galaxy had declared war. Humanity's retaliation had begun, and the stars themselves were beginning to tremble at the quiet power of a species that refused to bend, that refused to submit, and that had mastered the art of war without firing a single destructive shot. The Galactic Council chamber, once a bastion of order and authority, was now a theater of panic. Delegates shifted nervously, whispering in dozens of languages, their eyes darting to the crystalline figure of Chancellor Vorthan. The oldest leader in the galaxy, whose authority had never been questioned, now trembled under the weight of his own failure. Ambassador Elena Ward's image hovered in the center of the chamber, projected from deep space across the Council's networks. She did not speak loudly, yet her presence filled every corner. "You assumed declaring war would make Earth bend," she said, her calm voice a razor in the silence. "You assumed that fleets, weapons, and intimidation were sufficient. You were wrong. You are witnessing the consequences of arrogance." Vorthan's voice thundered, but it carried a tremor. "This is subversion. Infiltration. Every system we control has been compromised. They are everywhere and nowhere. How can this be stopped? A delegate from the Harn Syndicate rose, tendrils flickering with agitation. Chancellor, we cannot continue. Entire fleets have vanished. Colonies are unreachable. Even your commands are delayed. This is beyond our understanding. Humanity is no longer a threat to be fought. They are a force to be reckoned with. Vorthan's light pulsed violently. Then we escalate. Deploy the super fleets. Activate the planetary defense arrays. Crush them at their source. But the humans had already anticipated this. Across the void of space, the First Council superfleets prepared to strike Earth. Massive ships bristling with weapons, engines glowing like molten fire, advanced toward the Sol system with confidence. They believed that sheer numbers and firepower would end this. General Marcus Hale stood on the bridge of the Eternal Sentinel, watching through the observation window as the Council's armada advanced. They think overwhelming force will solve this, he said quietly. They do not understand that every move is already under observation. They are not attacking, they are walking into the trap. Dr. Adam Kepler's eyes flicked across the data streams. Every fleet, every command, every jump point they plan to use has already been mapped and manipulated. We do not fight with weapons alone. We fight with information, strategy, and prediction. Their arrogance blinds them to the reality of what they face. Elena Ward stood beside Hale, calm and precise. Let them continue. Every step they take will expose their own weakness. Every fleet they deploy will serve our purpose without a single shot fired from our side. Phase 3 begins now. In the heart of Council space, the first wave of superfleets reached designated jump points. As they initiated warp drives, systems across every ship began to fail simultaneously. Engines flickered, weapons overloaded, navigation arrays scrambled. Admirals struggled to maintain control, but every correction was anticipated, rerouted, or inverted by human AIs embedded in the Council's network. Ships collided, fired blindly, or drifted helplessly as the void swallowed them. A Threx Dominion admiral screamed into the comms. We are being dismantled. Our orders are ignored, our systems fail. How is this possible? Vorthan's crystalline head flared, casting jagged light across the chamber. Contain them! Purge every network. Fire every weapon. Do not leave a single system unchecked. Lieutenant Sari of the Scatherian Conclave looked to the Chancellor, her wings drooping. Chancellor, it is too late. Their reach is complete. Our fleets are already trapped in systems we cannot manipulate. They are controlling the flow of the battle without even appearing. Back in the Sol system, Hale gave the order. Do not strike. Let them experience the consequences of their arrogance. Every fleet that believes it is attacking us is now a lesson in humility. Elena activated a new projection, overlaying Council fleets with holographic markers. Each ship was highlighted, showing how human systems had infiltrated and rerouted their controls. Observe, General. Every fleet they send will act against itself. Every colony they consider loyal is now under observation. Every step they take exposes their flaws. Dr. Kepler adjusted the data streams. By the time they realize it, their fleets will be decimated, their communications useless, and their sense of control shattered. They do not understand that a war waged with knowledge and strategy is far deadlier than a war waged with weapons alone. Across the galaxy, colonies loyal to the Council began to falter. Entire systems went silent. Communications intercepted or rerouted. Panic spread as worlds that had once provided stability now reported anomalies. Energy grids reconfigured, supply chains disrupted, fleets immobilized. The humans were not invading in the conventional sense. They were dismantling the Council's authority from within, using its own networks, its own fleets, and its own systems against it. Inside the Obsidian Spire, Vorthan's anger and fear boiled. We must act decisively. The humans cannot be allowed to dismantle the Council, a Carrick Nebula delegate hissed nervously. Chancellor, every action we take is anticipated. Every fleet we deploy is already neutralized or compromised. They are not merely attacking, they are rewriting the rules of engagement. Vorthan slammed his staff against the dais. The crystalline sound reverberated across the chamber, yet it did nothing to restore order. Panic and confusion reigned. Delegates whispered among themselves, realizing the Council's authority had already begun to crumble. Hale watched the unfolding chaos on the tactical display. Phase 3 is working perfectly, he said. They still believe they control the war, but every move is exactly what we intended. Their arrogance blinds them to the trap they are in. Elena's calm voice cut through the bridge. The Council believes victory comes from force. They will learn that strategy, intelligence, and foresight outweigh sheer numbers. Let them experience the consequences of their hubris. Across Council space, the first superfleet attempted a coordinated strike on the human command ships. Sensors detected the approach, but every maneuver was anticipated and neutralized before weapons could fire. Ships collided, engines failed, and entire squadrons were lost without a single human casualty. Panic spread through the Council armada. In the Council chamber, delegates began to argue. Some demanded surrender, others blamed their leaders for underestimating humanity. Fourthand's voice cut through the chaos, but even he struggled to maintain authority. "Contain the humans. We will not fall to one species." Sari's feathers bristled. "Chancellor, they are already beyond containment. Their influence touches every system. Every fleet we control, every colony we rely on is compromised. We are no longer fighting humans, we are fighting the consequences of our own arrogance." On Earth, Hale and Elena observed the galaxy bending to their plan. "They still do not realize we are not here to destroy," Hale said. "We are here to demonstrate the consequences of underestimation." Dr. Kepler nodded. "Every fleet they deploy, every weapon they fire, every colony they consider safe, it all serves our strategy. They are the architects of their own failure." Elena turned to Hale. "Soon they will understand that Earth does not fight like other species. We do not need to conquer. We only need to show that we cannot be subdued." In orbit above Sol, human fleets shimmered into position, perfectly coordinated, yet invisible to most sensors. The Council's fleet stumbled blindly into systems that had been subtly manipulated to ensure maximum disruption. Entire admirals' conferences were rerouted through human networks, spreading misinformation, delays, and confusion, and in the Council chamber the panic was palpable. Delegates whispered, trembled, and argued, realizing that their fleets were ineffective, their communications compromised, and their authority challenged as never before. The humans were everywhere and nowhere, moving with precision and intelligence the galaxy had never seen. Elena's projection filled the chamber once more. "We are not invaders. We are the consequence of underestimation. You believed declaring war would make us bend. It did not. You believed your fleets and weapons ensured victory. They did not. The galaxy now faces a new reality, one where Earth cannot be ignored, controlled, or underestimated." Vorthon's crystalline head flared in frustration. "Then we escalate further. We will use every weapon, every fleet, every system." Hale watched silently as Council forces prepared to strike again. "Let them," he said. "Every move will only strengthen our position. Every strike they attempt will be anticipated. Every system they touch will reveal their own weakness." Elena's gaze swept across the bridge. This is the moment when they realize that war declared against humanity is no longer a contest of force. It is a contest they are already losing. And far beyond the Sol system, human fleets waited silently. Every ship a node of observation, every system a mirror of strategy, every fleet a lesson in intelligence and foresight. The Council had declared war, but humanity had turned the galaxy into a chessboard. Every piece moved exactly as intended. The stars themselves seemed to tremble as the reality of Earth's power became clear. The Council's authority was crumbling, and for the first time in history, the galaxy recognized that humans were not just survivors, they were unstoppable. The Galactic Council chamber was silent. The delegates who had once commanded fleets, dictated trade, and enforced law now sat frozen, staring at the central projection. It was not a battlefield, not a fleet in orbit, and not a weapon of mass destruction. It was a single image of Earth, calm and serene, bathed in the pale blue light of its sun, and behind it, a network of human command points stretching across the galaxy like veins of light. Ambassador Elena Ward's image hovered in the center, calm and unwavering. "We have observed your fleets. We have monitored your colonies. We have allowed you to test your strength, to exercise your arrogance. And now the moment has come for clarity." Vorthon's crystalline head pulsed with blinding light. "Explain, human." "You have dismantled fleets, crippled networks, and disrupted systems. What is your demand? Why do you not strike? Why do you allow us to breathe while the galaxy trembles at your power?" Elena's calm voice cut through the chamber. "We do not seek to conquer. We do not seek to destroy. We seek understanding. You declared war on Earth, believing that strength alone would subdue us. You assumed your fleets, your technology, and your authority were enough. You were wrong. A murmur rose among the delegates. Their fear was palpable. For weeks, council fleets had faltered, colonies had gone silent, and communication had broken down. Every attempt at control had been turned back on them. And now humanity spoke directly, not as a threat, but as a judge of their own arrogance. General Marcus Hale appeared in the projection beside Elena. Every fleet you sent, every system you touched, every colony you thought secure, it was all under observation. Your networks carried our presence without your knowing. Your actions exposed weaknesses, revealed priorities, and demonstrated where your authority was fragile. A Scytherian delegate whispered, wings trembling. They are everywhere. We cannot hide. We cannot respond. Their reach is absolute. Elena's gaze swept across the chamber. Your fleets are intact only because we allowed them to be. Your colonies remain because we permitted it. You can surrender now, preserve your people and learn from this, or continue to resist and risk further consequences. The choice is yours. Vorthan's light flared violently. Do you presume to lecture the council? After what you have done, after every fleet you have neutralized without a single shot fired, what justification do you have for restraint? Dr. Adam Kepler stepped forward in the projection. Because we are not conquerors. We are not predators. We are survivors. We understand strength, but also the value of restraint. Every species in this galaxy will remember this day. Not because we destroyed you, but because we demonstrated that survival, intelligence, and strategy are more powerful than aggression. The chamber was silent again. Even the most arrogant delegates could not find words. The humans had dismantled their fleets, disrupted their networks, and yet now spoke of mercy. They had turned war into a demonstration of control, and control into a lesson in humility. Vorthan's voice was low, almost trembling. What do you demand, human? Speak clearly. We will obey if it preserves the galaxy. Elena's eyes were steady. We demand recognition. Recognition that Earth is not a species to be underestimated. Recognition that your council's authority is not absolute. Recognition that any war declared against humanity will bring consequences far beyond what you imagine. Hale's voice joined hers. We will not dictate your fate. You may continue your governance, but you will respect the autonomy of Earth, its colonies, and its fleets. Interference will be met with precision, strategy, and observation. You have seen what happens when we are pushed. You have seen what happens when we are underestimated. Let that lesson guide you. A Threx Dominion delegate slithered forward, shaking. You have spared us. After everything, why? You could have destroyed every council fleet, every colony, every outpost. Why? Elena's calm voice answered. Because victory does not require annihilation. Because power is measured not by destruction, but by foresight. Because you can learn more from this outcome than you could from fighting to the death. Vorthan's crystalline form pulsed with a softer, almost contemplative light. And if we refuse? If we resist? Hale's gaze was unwavering. Then you will face consequences you cannot anticipate. Your fleets will falter. Your systems will be manipulated. Your authority will crumble, and you will have no one to blame but yourselves. The chamber fell silent again. Delegates whispered to each other, fear mixing with awe. Across the galaxy, reports continued to arrive. Fleets immobilized, communications rerouted, colonies functioning in ways entirely dictated by human strategy. Every system, every star, every fleet had already been touched. Humanity had proven that it could fight without firing a weapon, control without conquest, and win without destruction. Elena stepped closer to the projection's edge. This is not an act of vengeance. This is a demonstration of what happens when the galaxy misjudges Earth. We have survived every challenge. We have adapted to every threat. And we have proven that our intelligence, our strategy, and our foresight are unmatched. Accept this, and there will be peace. Reject it, and you will face consequences you cannot control. Vorthan's crystalline form pulsed, then dimmed. He looked out at the delegates. Thousands of alien species now silent in fear and awe. Very well, he said finally, his voice low and measured. We recognize the authority of Earth in its own domain. We acknowledge your intelligence and strategy. We will respect your autonomy. Let this be the end of the conflict. Elena nodded, her expression calm. Then let this be the beginning of understanding. Let this be the moment when the galaxy realizes that strength is not measured in fleets or weapons, but in intelligence, strategy, and the ability to survive without surrender. Hale's voice was steady. "We will continue to observe, to learn, and to defend. But we do not seek war. We seek respect, and the acknowledgement that humanity is a force beyond underestimation." Across the galaxy, human fleets withdrew from Council systems, leaving no trace of violence. Colonies returned to normal function, fleets resumed their patrols, and networks stabilized. Humanity had demonstrated absolute control without inflicting destruction. The Council's fleets were intact, their colonies unharmed, yet the lesson had been learned. Every species now understood that Earth was not a target. It was a force to be reckoned with. In the Council chamber, delegates whispered among themselves. Fear had not vanished, but it had transformed into respect. For the first time in millennia, the Council's authority had been challenged, not through aggression, but through intelligence, strategy, and foresight. Humanity had rewritten the rules of engagement for the galaxy. Elena's projection lingered a moment longer. "Let this be a reminder. Humanity does not bow. Humanity does not beg. Humanity does not surrender. Treat this day as the day the galaxy realized that underestimation carries consequences far greater than you can imagine." Then, as quietly as it had arrived, the projection vanished. The chamber was left in stunned silence. The delegates looked at each other, understanding at last that the war they had declared had never truly begun, and that humanity had already won. On Earth, Hale and Elena stood on the observation deck watching the stars. The galaxy had recognized their strength, but they had not destroyed a single world, fired a single shot in anger, or imposed their will unnecessarily. It was a victory of intelligence, strategy, and foresight. Dr. Kepler turned to them. "The Council will remember this. Every species in the galaxy will remember this. Humanity has not only survived, it has set a precedent for power, restraint, and wisdom." Hale nodded. "And now we wait, we watch. We ensure that the lesson endures. The galaxy will think twice before underestimating Earth again." Elena gazed at the stars, her expression calm but determined. "We have shown them who we are. Let them remember it. Let them respect it. Let this be the beginning of a new era, where humanity is no longer ignored, no longer underestimated, and no longer dismissed." And in the vastness of space, as the Council recalibrated its fleets and communications, the lesson had already been written into the stars. Humanity had faced the most powerful governing body in the galaxy, had been challenged with war, and had responded not with destruction, but with intelligence, strategy, and foresight. The galaxy had trembled, and it had learned. Earth remained quiet, serene, yet infinitely more powerful than any species could imagine. Humanity had declared its strength without aggression, had survived the impossible, and had emerged not as conquerors, but as a force that could never be underestimated. The stars themselves seemed to pulse with understanding. The galaxy had declared war, and humanity had answered. Without a word, without a shot, without destruction, and in doing so, it had reshaped the balance of power for all time.